let's take a look at the final home stretch. Last 5 games of the season.
All right.
This weekend at New York Giants. Next week, Marshawn Lattimore and the Commanders come back. That's a funny guy. That is a funny guy. It legitimately was hurt during the end of his tenure here, and he was trying to get healthy and get back those last couple of weeks in Washington, but he's going to be ready. He posted a picture of himself iced out with a chain with the Commanders hoodie on. I'm like, man, this dude is going to come down here and it's going to hit like a ton of bricks when he get that pick 6 on Derek Carr. Green Bay, who knows what the weather is going to be for that game. The Las Vegas Raiders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 3 opponents, as of right now, 500 or better.
3 or 500 or better. Yeah, I mean, if you just look at that, you're supposed to beat the Giants, you're supposed to beat the Raiders, you're supposed to lose to the Commanders, you're supposed to lose to the Packers, and then you get, a 50-50 shot against Tampa Bay because it's a division rivalry. It feels like if the Saints were relatively healthy and playing relatively well, you'd go 3-2 or 2-3. And here we are talking about losing another key player in Taysom Hill. They are supposed to get Eric McCoy back. I don't know if that's a 1-for-1 swap. It kind of, where we'd rank them on the roster. Maybe that's a 1-for-1 swap. So Saints could go 3-2 or 2-3. They could shock the world and go 4-1, and then we start talking about, is that enough for Darren Rizzi? But there's a couple on here. I mean, first of all, you got to beat the Giants. You got to. What are we talking about if you don't beat the Giants?
You're not talking about anything.
Yeah, you're talking about the draft pick everybody wants. If you lose to the Giants and jockeying for position, so I'm sure there's a lot of people rooting for that. But that's a team that is just, even further in the injury. Talent out the door. The good talent you had got hurt. Your quarterback has been shipped out of town already. Your best player just got put on IR.
It's a lot going on.
Your former best player is maybe the league MVP for the Philadelphia Eagles. Forget about Zach. The Saints have Zach Bond killing it for the Eagles. They had Saquon Barkley killing it for the Eagles.
In the division. They shut them off. They let them go back.
You got to win this game, otherwise you're officially reeling. But then you win this game and you end up as a 6-win team with the 10th or 11th pick in the draft. So that's what this schedule feels like. To me, is worst case scenario. This schedule feels like you end up with 6 or 7 wins, and you're stuck in the limbo where nobody wants them.
What's really crazy? I was doing some research on just the last couple of games. I think the Saints have the second longest 7 or more game win streak in the NFL.
Oh,
yeah.
Do they keep that alive?
Oh, I don't think so.
You don't think they can go 3-2 with this schedule?
Like I said,
they can.
They can. It's possible. Yeah. But like I said, Sunday, you can't have 75 cents in your pocket.
Yeah.
Calling people with 25 cents broke. So I can't.
You can if you beat them.
Well, of course.
And they have been. That's the thing about these Saints is they beat the lousy teams.
Yeah.
They don't lose to lousy teams. They just look lousy when they play a good team. And what's crazy is that Cleveland win keeps looking better and better because I keep seeing Cleveland in prime time looking like a killer. Jameis.
Delivering from the pick 6, as he said.
Jeez. But, I mean, it really feels like the Saints are going to beat the Giants and beat the Raiders and say, we're not as bad as you guys. And then when you have to play a playoff team like the Commanders and the Packers, you're going to be like, we're not as good as those guys. I mean, it really feels like that. And then it comes down to Tampa Bay, whether they get that 7th win or not.
Yeah. Going back to what you said, let's dig a little deeper. You said Eric McCoy and Taysom kind of 1-for-1. I think the running game with McCoy, we've kind of seen it. Of course, in concert together, we saw it against Cleveland that it can get on and popping. But I think if you have McCoy and you just still have Alvin and somebody else back there has to do something, you might be in a little better shape.
Yeah, I mean, if we were doing our roster rankings, I mean, I'd probably have Eric McCoy. It'd probably be like,
his absence spoke volumes.
He might be number 1 on the entire team right now, and he's played 4 games this year or whatever it's been. I'm trying to think. Taysom did play against the Chargers, and he had 4 carries for 20 yards because they average like 6 yards a carry. I was wondering if they did that without both of them. That was the game where Taysom came back. Then they've been running the ball pretty well again since Taysom came back, 5 for 19 at Carolina. But yeah, I mean, God, Eric McCoy feels like he might be the most important player on the team. So losing Taysom takes a lot of wind out of your sails. But yeah, you can make an argument Eric McCoy is the most important player on this team.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way. His absence it was evident. Eric McCoy, we ranked him in the offseason high on the list, but Marshawn's not even in the building anymore, so he's off that list. Chris Olave, his injuries are beginning to pile up, very important to the team. But Eric McCoy just not being there, and then them not having anything going for that little stretch of time, even rotating those other quarterbacks.
Yeah, I don't think the team got worse this week. I mean, they put up a decent fight against the Rams. They showed their limitations. All they can do is put up a decent fight, but they can't manufacture points against a good team. So, but we're about to talk about the players coming back. But I think net total losing Taysom really stinks. But I think net total they're going to be a better team in Week 14 than they were in Week 13, or they're going to be a better team over these last 5 weeks than they probably were health-wise this last week. So even though the Rizzy magic is gone, I still think they're the same team that beat the Falcons and the Browns. And so when we were talking about could Rizzy go 7-1, could Rizzy go 6-2? I mean, it's still out there for them to be this C- team or whatever they are, an exact C, capable of, like I said, I mean, they could go 3-2 with this schedule. It wouldn't even shock. I mean, if they beat the Giants and beat the Commanders, we'll be talking about how they could finish 4-1. Yeah. I mean, that's not over yet, just because of losing Taysom Hill.
And even going back to calling this a 75-cent team, it's not because of a lack of confidence in Rizzy. He was given that. Not in quarters, you know what I mean? He was giving that in dimes, nickels, pennies, and everything like that in certain different positions and spots. But you don't know what the weather, even with the Giants game. This team hasn't played outside often enough, especially.
Oh, yeah. Like, they're a team that, like, the floor could go as low as you want that floor to go. It's possible. Like, I don't think the Rams game was turn the TV off for the next month. It's over. They've quit.
No, not at all.
The Rams game was a disappointing loss, but it doesn't take away the revival we've seen since Rizzy took over. That still exists.
Yeah,
that still exists.
Yeah, all the energy is still there.
That would go away with a loss in New York, no matter what it looks like. They lose in New York. It's like, don't talk to me if you're going to win another game, because all I want is a top 5 pick now. Like that would be the final nail in the all I want is a draft pick for the fans. I'm sure a lot of fans already feel that way, but for the ones who haven't been converted, a loss at New York would convert them to the just lose now, please, and don't make me watch it.
Oh man.